The signal beneath the ashes. Jake Martinez floated near the observation window of the spaceship Aurora's edge. The endless black of space stretched around him like a silent ocean. Below the ship was a gray, lifeless planet, its surface covered in ash and broken rocks. No oceans, no forests, no movement, only silence. Jake held a portable scanner in his hands, his brown eyes focused on the blinking lights. He had been scanning this planet for hours, expecting nothing unusual, but suddenly, the device began to beep in a strange rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. The signal was faint but clear. Deep beneath the planet's surface, Commander Lisa, Jake said through his headset. I'm picking up something unusual. Her calm voice came back through the speakers. What kind of reading? It's biological, I think, Jake replied, his voice shaky with excitement. It's coming from underground. Lisa was a tough but fair leader, and when Jake spoke like this, she knew it was serious. Send a probe, she ordered. Let's see what's down there. Jake's fingers moved quickly over the control panel, launching a small probe from the ship's bay. The probe shot through the thin atmosphere and descended toward the surface, its camera sending back clear images. Jake watched the screen closely, his heart beating faster with every passing second. The probe flew over endless gray plains before stopping above a cluster of black rock formations. But as the probe got closer, Jake noticed something strange. The rocks were arranged in perfect circular patterns, as if designed by intelligent hands. In the center of the circle was a single giant crystal, half buried in the dust, glowing faintly with a soft blue light. The heartbeat signal grew stronger, syncing perfectly with Jake's own pulse. This isn't natural, Jake whispered to himself. Lisa floated over to his station, her short black hair framing her serious face. When she saw the image, her eyes widened. That's artificial, she said. Someone made that. The crew gathered around the monitors, murmuring with curiosity and unease. Should we bring it up? Jake asked. Lisa hesitated. Unknown objects can be dangerous, she said slowly. But this is exactly why we're out here. Use the containment unit, she ordered. Jake guided the probe to gently lift the glowing crystal from the ground. The moment the robotic arms touched it, the light inside began to swirl faster, responding to the contact. As the probe carried it back to the ship, Jake couldn't take his eyes off the display. The light patterns inside the crystal shifted constantly, from waves to circles to star shapes. He felt a strange pull in his chest, like the crystal was calling to him. It was a feeling he could not explain, but it made his hands tremble. When the probe docked, the crystal was placed inside a secure containment room. Thick walls and an isolated air system ensured nothing could escape. Dr. Amy Sullivan, the ship's scientist and medic, arrived quickly. She was a small woman with red hair and bright green eyes, always smiling even in tense moments. Look at those energy readings, Amy said as she studied the monitors. This thing is alive, or at least powered by something incredible. Jake stood beside her, still feeling the strange heartbeat in his chest. Lisa crossed her arms. Run every test we have. I want to know what this is. Hours passed as Jake and Amy scanned the crystal with every instrument they had. The material was unlike anything they had seen before, older than human civilization. What shocked them most was how the crystal reacted to Jake's presence. Whenever he stepped close, the light flared brighter. The energy surged. When he stepped away, it dimmed almost to darkness. That's impossible, Jake muttered. Amy tilted her head, curious. Maybe not, she said. Maybe it likes your brainwaves. Jake laughed nervously, but deep inside he felt something serious was happening. Then, without warning, the ship's alarm rang through every hallway. Red lights flashed, and the voice of pilot Ryan Clark echoed through the speakers. Commander Bennett to containment. Now. Lisa pushed off the floor and flew down the corridor, Jake and Amy close behind. When they reached the room, they stopped in shock. The crystal was no longer resting inside the chamber. It was floating in midair, spinning slowly, glowing like a star. The heartbeat signal became a loud, steady pulse that filled the entire ship. Vibrating through the walls, Jake felt it inside his skull. A voice he couldn't understand whispering his name. The crew stared in silence as light beams shot out from the crystal, drawing a shape in the air. At first, it looked like a figure made of light, shifting and unstable. But slowly, the shape became solid, taking the form of a tall, silver-skinned woman with white hair and purple eyes. She wore a flowing gown made of light, her expression calm and knowing. Jake's mouth fell open, his heart racing. The alien woman looked directly at him and spoke in a musical voice that echoed like a song. "Jake Martinez," she said. "I have been waiting for you." Jake froze, unable to speak, as the alien woman's glowing eyes locked onto him, and the entire ship held its breath. She appeared and spoke my name for a long moment. No one in the containment room moved. The alien woman stood tall in the glowing light, her silver skin shining like polished metal. Her long white hair flowed as if moved by a soft wind, even though the room was sealed and still. Her purple eyes glowed faintly. Fixed directly on Jake, she spoke again, her voice soft but clear. "Musical like a song that vibrated in the bones, Jake Martinez," she said. "You have arrived at last." Jake's hands shook as he floated backwards slowly. His heart beating fast, Lisa stepped in front of him like a shield, her hand reaching for her sidearm. "Who are you?" Lisa demanded, her voice sharp. "How do you know his name?" The alien woman tilted her head slightly, as if trying to understand Lisa's tone. "I am Zara of the Veltar," she said, "and I know Jake Martinez because he is the chosen resonant." Her words filled the room like a command. Strange and heavy, Amy whispered to Jake. "Chosen? For what?" Jake shook his head. "I don't know," he said softly. "I've never met her." Zara raised her hand gently, and the crystal light behind her responded instantly, swirling around her like a living thing. "I have waited 3,000 of your years," she said. "The signal has finally returned to me." The lights in the room flickered as if reacting to her voice. All around the ship, systems glitched, displays blinked, and navigation alarms chirped without reason. Ryan's voice echoed through the intercom. "Commander, power fluctuations across multiple decks. What's happening down there?" Lisa replied quickly. "We're handling it. Stay on standby." Zara slowly floated toward Jake, her feet not touching the ground. Every step she took made the heartbeat signal grow louder. Jake could feel it inside his skull, like invisible hands gently pulling him forward. Amy grabbed his arm, trying to keep him from drifting toward her. Zara stopped only a few feet away from him, her glowing eyes searching his face. "You carry the resonance," she said softly. "The pattern that matches the Veltar core. You are the one I was made to find." Jake forced himself to speak, his voice shaky. "Why me?" Zara smiled faintly, but it was not the smile of a stranger. It was the smile of someone who believed this moment was destiny. "Because without you," she said, "my people will end." The words hung heavy in the air. Amy's scientific mind raced. "Are you saying he's genetically compatible with you?" Zara looked at her, confused but patient. "Your words are limited," she said. "But yes, his resonance and mine are aligned. He must join with me to awaken the core." Lisa raised a hand. "Hold on. No one is joining anyone without answers." For the first time, Zara's expression changed slightly, a flicker of confusion passing over her perfect silver features. "Do you not understand?" she asked. "This was decided long before your birth. The choice is already made." Jake's stomach tightened. "I don't accept choices made for me," he said firmly. Something in his tone made the lights pulse sharply, as if the crystal reacted to his defiance. Zara blinked, surprised. "You resist," she whispered. "No other species has ever refused." Amy stepped closer, her voice gentle. "That's because humans have something called consent. We don't do anything this serious without agreeing to it." "Consent," Zara repeated slowly, as if tasting the word. "I have studied your languages, but this meaning is unfamiliar." Before anyone could answer, a sudden tremor shook the entire ship. The lights turned red, sirens echoed through the corridors, and Ryan's voice shouted through the speakers. Massive energy surge detected under the planet's surface. "Something is waking up." Lisa's eyes widened. "What did we bring on board?" Zara turned toward the wall, her eyes glowing brighter. "The signal has returned to its source," she said. "The heart is awakening." Jake felt a powerful pressure in his head, like a deep hum resonating with his heartbeat. He grabbed his temples and floated back. "It's calling me," he whispered. "I can hear it." Zara's eyes widened, not with arrogance now, but with recognition. "Yes," she said softly. "The heart has accepted you." Lisa ordered the crew to return to battle stations. "Jake, get out of this room now." But before he could leave, the walls of the containment chamber lit up with moving symbols. They weren't written in any known language, yet Jake somehow understood fragments in his mind, phrases about union, awakening, and destiny. Amy's instruments went wild. "These readings are off the charts," she said. "Whatever that thing is, it's interacting directly with Jake's neural pattern." Zara turned back toward Jake, her voice suddenly sharp with urgency. "You must come with me," she said. "The heart is beneath the ashes, and only your presence can unlock it." Jake stared at her in disbelief. "You want me to go down there?" Zara's purple eyes blazed like stars. "No," she said slowly. "I do not want. I need—" The ship shook again, harder this time, throwing loose equipment against the walls. Alarm screamed. The planet below began to crack open, and a blinding blue light erupted from its surface like a geyser. Jake stared through the viewing window as a massive underground structure slowly rose through the ash. A black monolith covered in glowing alien runes. The signal in Jake's skull became louder and louder until it felt like his mind might break. Zara extended her glowing hand toward him, her voice echoing through every speaker on the ship. "Come, Jake Martinez," she said. "The heart of Veltar is calling you." Jake hovered in the air, caught between fear and destiny, the ship shaking around him as the alien structure awakened beneath the planet's surface. The genetic oracle. The ship hung in orbit above the cracking planet, surrounded by glowing blue fissures that pulsed like veins. Inside the Aurora's edge, tension filled every hallway, alarms flashed, and crew members moved quickly between stations. In the containment room, Zara stood motionless, her glowing eyes fixed on Jake. Jake floated in the air, clutching his head, feeling the signal's pulse echo inside his skull like a second heartbeat. Amy placed her scanner near Jake's temple, her face pale. "This isn't normal," she whispered. "Jake, your brain waves are syncing with that thing underground." "I can hear it," Jake said weakly. "It's like it knows me." Zara stepped closer, her voice calm but heavy with meaning. "It does know you," she said. "Because you are its key." Lisa pushed into the room, her commander's uniform slightly wrinkled from rushing. "Enough," she said sharply. "Jake is a member of this crew, not a tool." Zara turned slowly to face her, her silver skin shimmering like liquid metal. "He is not a tool," she replied. "He is the chosen resonant, the only human whose genetic code can awaken the heart of Veltar." Amy frowned, confused. "How could you possibly know that?" Zara raised her hand, and the floating crystal behind her emitted a soft beam of light. The light hit Jake's chest and spread outward like a web, forming glowing lines across his body. Everyone gasped as alien symbols wrapped around Jake like a holographic map. "This is his resonant pattern," Zara explained. "It matches the ancient key encoded within the heart." Jake looked down at the glowing patterns on his skin, panic and wonder mixing inside him. "I don't understand," he said. "Why me?" "I'm just a scientist." Zara's eyes softened slightly. "Because your DNA carries a forgotten signature," she said. 300 of your years ago, one of your ancestors made contact with my people. Their genetic material merged with ours, and that legacy lives within you." Amy stared at her instruments in shock. "She's not lying," she said. "Jake, your genome has anomalies I've never seen before. It's like alien code was written inside your DNA centuries ago." Jake felt the room spin. Memories of his childhood filled his mind. The seizures, the strange humming sounds only he could hear, the doctors who never found answers. All this time he thought he was different. But he never imagined it was because of something alien. Lisa grabbed Zara's arm. "You can't just decide someone's destiny because of their DNA," she said firmly. Zara looked down at Lisa's hand but did not resist. "I did not decide," she replied. "The heart decided long before either of us existed." Suddenly, the ship's communication system crackled to life. "Aurora's Edge. This is Earth Command," a voice said, cold and official. "We have intercepted your transmissions regarding a Veltar entity and human genetic resonance. Prepare for immediate contact." Lisa's face turned hard. "They're coming," she said under her breath. Jake looked at her, confused. "What do you mean, coming?" "Earth never ignores something like this," Lisa replied. "They'll send their best or their most dangerous." Minutes later, the space around the ship rippled like disturbed water. A sleek black Earth vessel appeared through a quantum jump, its hull covered with military insignia. Amy whispered nervously. They didn't even wait for authorization. The Earth ship docked, and armed security teams flooded onto the Aurora's Edge. Leading them was Dr. Peter Hayes, a tall, thin man with gray hair and cold eyes. Jake recognized him from Academy lectures. He was Earth's top xenobiology strategist. "Jake Martinez," Hayes said with a measured smile. "You've caused quite a stir." Lisa floated in front of her crew, blocking their path. "This is my ship," she said. "You can't just barge in." Hayes ignored her, his eyes fixed on Zara. And you must be the Veltar representative, he said calmly. Fascinating. Zara tilted her head slightly. You are not the one the heart called, she said, her voice distant and unimpressed. No, Hayes replied, but I represent the species that Jake belongs to, and if his genetic code is important, it falls under Earth jurisdiction now. Jake's stomach dropped. Jurisdiction, he repeated. I'm not some experiment. Hayes looked at him like a puzzle piece. You're humanity's key to surviving whatever this is, he said. And we're not leaving you here with her. Amy stepped between them. You can't just take him like that, she said. He's not a soldier. Hayes gave her a cold smile. I don't need soldiers, I need assets. Zara's eyes glowed brighter. The lights in the room flickered and the crystal hummed like a storm building inside it. She took a single step forward, her voice suddenly filled with authority.
He is not your asset, she said. He belongs to the resonance.
And the heart has already chosen. The entire room trembled. Equipment rattled and alarms went off as energy surged through the ship. Lisa shouted orders to stabilize power. Jake, stay back, she yelled, but Jake couldn't move. The humming inside his skull was overwhelming, almost like something inside him was waking up. Zara's gaze met his, and for the first time, he saw something unexpected in her eyes. Not cold certainty, but something like fear. The heart is opening, she whispered, and if you are not there when it awakens, both our species will pay the price. As Jake struggled to stay conscious, the ship's hull shook violently. The planet below split open, and a massive beam of light shot toward the stars, like a beacon announcing to the galaxy that the chosen resonant had been found. The choice hijacked. The Aurora's edge shook under the pressure of two forces, the ancient energy rising from the planet below, and the cold power of the Earth military ship now docked beside it, inside the central briefing chamber. The atmosphere was tense, armed soldiers lined the walls, their black armor reflecting the soft blue emergency lights. Zara stood in the center of the room, calm but glowing faintly, like a storm waiting to be unleashed. Jake sat strapped to a chair, not because he wanted to be, but because Earth Command had ordered it. Commander Lisa paced near him. Her frustration clear, Amy stood close by, holding her tablet tightly, her eyes flicking between Zara and the group of Earth officials that had just arrived. Dr. Peter Hayes placed a small black case on the table and opened it carefully. Inside was a set of glowing neural cuffs, their thin wires pulsing with light. Jake, Hayes said in his calm but dangerous voice, these will ensure your safety during transport. Jake frowned. Transport? I'm not going anywhere. Hayes looked at him like a teacher explaining to a child. You're a strategic genetic resource, Jake. Earth Command has decided you'll return home for controlled analysis. Zara's purple eyes narrowed dangerously. He does not belong to your government, she said slowly. He belongs to the resonance. The soldiers raised their rifles. Uneasy but ready, Lisa stepped between them. Stand down, she barked. This is still my ship. Hayes ignored her, pressing a button on his wrist, and the cuffs hovered in the air, slowly moving toward Jake. Jake pulled at the straps on his chair. I'm not your experiment, he shouted. Zara raised her hand and the cuffs stopped midair. Frozen by an invisible force, her voice dropped into a lower, resonant tone. Touch him, she said, and your ship will not survive what comes next. The lights flickered, and a deep hum filled the room outside the viewing window. The planet's surface cracked wider, and beams of blue light shot upward like the arms of some waking giant. Amy glanced at her scanner, her face turning pale. The heart's energy is increasing rapidly, she said. It's syncing with Jake's brainwaves again. Hayes stepped forward. Unfazed, if what she says is true, then Earth needs you even more, he told Jake. You're the key to controlling this alien technology, not her. Jake shook his head. I don't want to control anything. Hayes leaned closer, lowering his voice. Then someone else will do it for you. Before Lisa could respond, the ship's hull trembled violently. An alarm blared across every deck. Incoming vessels detected, Ryan's voice shouted through the intercom. They just appeared out of nowhere. Zara's eyes glowed like stars. My people, she whispered through the main window. 3 massive silver ships emerged from a swirling portal, their designs elegant and alien. Glowing with the same blue light as the crystal, they moved silently but with the weight of ancient power, surrounding both human ships like guardians reclaiming their lost treasure. Lisa rushed to the comms panel. This is Commander Lisa Bennett of the Aurora's Edge. Identify yourselves. A deep, layered voice filled the room. We are the Veltar High Council. The chosen resonant is aboard your vessel. Return him or face extinction. The soldiers exchanged nervous looks. Hands tightening on their weapons, Hayes pressed his wrist communicator. Earth Command, this is Hayes, he said quickly. We have multiple Veltar warships. Authorization to initiate containment protocols. Zara turned toward him slowly. Containment, she repeated. You cannot contain destiny. The room suddenly filled with a powerful vibration. Like a low note from some cosmic instrument, Jake gasped, feeling it in his bones. The heart below the planet responded to the presence of the Veltar ships. The blue light through the window brightened until it hurt to look. Amy shouted over the noise. The heart is fully active. It's transmitting something. Zara looked directly at Jake, her voice cutting through the chaos. You must decide, she said. Your world will bind you like a weapon. Mine will claim you as destiny. But only you can choose your path, Jake stared at her. Torn between two worlds, Hayes raised his voice. Don't listen to her, Jake. Earth gave you everything, your education, your future. This is your duty to your species. Zara stepped closer, her silver form glowing brighter. And I offer you purpose beyond anything your species can imagine. The heart has waited for you for centuries. The ship shook again. Stronger this time, panels cracked, alarms screamed, and Ryan's voice shouted, They're charging weapons! The Veltar ships began powering up, their blue energy gathering like storm clouds. The Earth vessel outside aimed its cannons back. For the first time, the void of space was filled with the silent tension of two civilizations preparing for war over one man. Lisa turned to Jake. Jake, whatever you decide, it will change everything, she said. Her voice steady but emotional, Jake took a deep breath, his heartbeat matching the pulse of the heart below. Zara extended her hand toward him once more. Glowing like a star, Hayes stepped closer, holding the neural cuffs, his soldiers ready. For a moment, everything slowed. Jake looked at Zara's glowing eyes, then at Hayes's cold stare, then at Lisa and Amy, who stood silently waiting for his choice. The hum in his skull grew louder until suddenly, it wasn't just a hum, it was a voice. Clear and powerful, Jake Martinez, choose, it said. Outside the window, the Veltar warships unleashed their first energy pulse. The Earth vessel responded with missiles, and Jake stood in the middle of the storm, about to make the choice that would shape the future of two civilizations. The ancient bond, the black void outside the Aurora's edge exploded with light. Veltar warships fired brilliant blue energy pulses that curved like living rivers. Earth's vessel responded with precise missile strikes, each one shaking the human ship like thunder. In the middle of the chaos, Jake Martinez floated in the command room, his heartbeat syncing perfectly with the pulse of the alien heart below. Lisa shouted orders, trying to keep the ship balanced between two forces. Amy worked furiously at her console, scanning the energy frequencies, her hands moving faster than her fear. Dr. Hayes barked commands to the soldiers, demanding they secure Jake immediately. Zara stood still in the center, glowing brighter than anyone had ever seen. Like a pillar of silver light, Jake's vision blurred, and for a moment the room disappeared. He found himself standing inside a vast chamber made of crystal and light. Strange runes floated around him, spinning like galaxies. A deep, ancient voice echoed, resonant. Remember, Jake gasped, looking around. Where am I? A figure appeared from the swirling light. A human man dressed in old explorer's clothes. Weathered but proud, his eyes looked exactly like Jake's. And his voice was strong. You carry my blood, he said. I was the first to cross the stars. Jake stumbled backward. Who are you? The man smiled softly. Elias Martinez, your ancestor. 300 years ago I made contact with the Veltar, when humanity still dreamed of the stars. Images formed around them. A small wooden ship at sea, a strange storm in the sky, a portal opening, and a lone man stepping into another world. I was taken by them, Elias said, but I did not fear. They needed something new, something different, and I gave them what they sought. Jake's heart pounded as he watched Elias stand before the Veltar Council centuries ago. I joined with one of their kind, Elias continued. Not by force, but by choice, through understanding. And together we created the first hybrid key. He placed his hand on Jake's shoulder, his touch warm and solid. That legacy flows through you now, Elias said. But your choice will shape what our bloodline means for all of humanity. Before Jake could speak, the vision shattered like glass. He snapped back to the ship, gasping for air, his body glowing faintly with the same blue patterns he had seen in the vision. Amy rushed toward him. "Jake, your vitals just spiked," she said. "Your DNA markers are changing." Lisa stared, shocked. "What happened to you?" Jake wiped sweat from his forehead. "I saw him," he whispered. "My ancestor, he was the first. This isn't random." "I was born into this." Zara stepped closer, her eyes wide. "Elias Martinez," she said slowly. "The first resonant, his name was carved into the heart centuries ago." Jake looked at her. Realization dawning. "You knew about him?" Zara nodded. "He was a legend among my people, the human who chose willingly." Hayes didn't look impressed. "So what?" He snapped. "A family ghost doesn't change the fact that you're Earth property." Zara's glow intensified, and the temperature in the room seemed to rise. She turned toward Hayes, her voice sharp. "He is not property, he is lineage. The last link to the promise made between our species." Amy held up her scanner. "Guys," she interrupted, "the heart's energy is reaching critical levels." On the screen, a huge structure beneath the planet's crust began unfolding like a mechanical flower. Ancient machinery waking after centuries of silence. Lisa's voice trembled. "It's massive." Zara moved closer to Jake. "The heart is opening," she said. "It recognizes your blood, your memories. Your choice." Jake hesitated, his mind spinning between destiny, fear, and loyalty. Before he could answer, the doors to the command room burst open. Veltar warriors in flowing silver armor floated inside, their weapons glowing with energy, led by a towering elder with eyes like frozen stars. "Morak," Zara whispered, her voice filled with both respect and dread. The elder's gaze swept over the humans like they were dust, then landed on Jake. "So," Morak said in a deep, commanding voice, "the resonant lives." He raised his hand, and before anyone could stop him, energy shackles wrapped around Jake, lifting him off the ground. Lisa and the soldiers aimed their weapons, but Morak didn't even flinch. "You delay the inevitable," Morak said coldly. "The heart must be bonded before the cycle closes, or both species will fall." Zara stepped forward, blocking Morak. "You cannot force the bonding," she said firmly. "Elias chose, and so must Jake." Morak's eyes flashed. "Choice is a luxury of the weak," he thundered. "We are out of time." He turned to his warriors. "Take him to the chamber," Amy screamed. "Jake!" As the warriors pulled him through the hallway, Lisa tried to follow, but armed Veltar blocked her path, their energy weapons humming threateningly. Zara stood frozen, torn between her loyalty to her people and her growing bond with Jake. Inside the alien chamber deep within the Veltar ship, Jake was strapped to a floating platform. Above him hung a massive crystal sphere pulsing like a heart. Morak raised his hands, chanting in an ancient language, and the sphere lowered toward Jake's chest. Jake struggled, his mind racing, his ancestors' words echoing inside his head. "You must choose what our bloodline stands for," Elias had said. Energy wrapped around Jake like a cocoon, linking his DNA to the heart's ancient code. Just as the crystal touched his chest, Jake's body exploded with blue light, shaking the entire ship, and a blinding pulse shot into space, reaching farther than anyone imagined, awakening something in the dark beyond. "I am not yours to control." The Veltar chamber shook as the bonding ritual began. Jake's body was suspended in mid-air, wrapped in glowing blue energy. The massive crystal sphere above him pulsed like a living heart, each beat sending waves of power through the room. Veltar warriors formed a silent circle around him, their silver armor reflecting the blinding light. Morak stood at the head of the chamber, chanting in the ancient language of the Veltar. His deep voice echoed through the metallic walls, mixing with the hum of the heart. "This is your destiny," Morak said coldly. "The resonant does not choose. He serves." Jake's chest burned where the crystal touched him, the energy crawling through his veins like fire. He gasped, feeling his thoughts invaded by something vast and cold. Images of Veltar cities, their dying stars, their endless calculations, their desperate search for survival flooded his mind. It wasn't just energy. It was a will trying to take control. "No," Jake whispered, gritting his teeth. The blue energy wrapped tighter, pulling at his thoughts like invisible chains. Morak's voice grew louder. "Submit to the heart. Let it take what it needs." Meanwhile, on the Aurora's edge, Lisa and Amy struggled to break through the Veltar guards. "Jake's vitals are spiking," Amy shouted, looking at the monitor she'd hacked from the Veltar systems. "They're forcing the bond." Lisa slammed her hand against the console. Then we're going after him. She turned to her soldiers. Get your gear, we're boarding their ship. Back inside the chamber, Zara entered silently, her silver skin glowing softly under the crystal light. Morak turned to her. Do not interfere, he warned. The time for softness has passed. Zara looked up at Jake, her purple eyes wide with something new, not calculation but fear. She stepped closer. This is not how it was meant to be, she said. Morak raised his hand, energy swirling around his fingers like lightning. You were chosen to guide, not to question, he growled. Zara's voice grew firmer. Elias chose freely, and so must Jake. Elias was a fool who gave us time, Morak replied. This one will give us survival. Choice is a weakness we can no longer afford. Above them, Jake's heartbeat synchronized with the heart's rhythm, but something unexpected happened. Instead of giving in, his thoughts pushed back. The alien will try to control him, but his human mind, full of emotion and resistance, struck back like a storm. Flashes of memories filled his mind. His family, his childhood, his first discovery in space, Amy's encouragement, Lisa's trust, Zara's confused smile when she first tasted chocolate. The heart trembled, the light flickering as if confused. Morak frowned. Why does he resist? He shouted, Zara whispered, almost to herself. Because he is human, Jake opened his eyes, glowing with a strange mix of blue and warm golden light. His voice was low but powerful. I am not yours to control. The energy around him cracked like shattered glass, sending shockwaves through the chamber. Morak roared, trying to tighten the bond. But Jake's emotional surge destabilized the entire ritual. Zara moved between Morak and Jake, her hands raised. Stop this, she shouted. He is not a machine. Morak's power struck her like a wave. Throwing her against the wall, Jake saw her fall, and something inside him snapped. The golden light around Jake intensified, mixing with the blue until it became something entirely new. The heart reacted violently, lights spinning out of control, runes flashing faster than anyone could read. Veltar warriors stumbled back, shielding their eyes. Jake wasn't just resisting, he was rewriting the connection. In his mind, he found himself standing inside the crystal chamber again. This time the heart spoke, not as a cold command, but as a confused presence. Why do you resist, Resonant? It asked. Jake stood firm. Because I am not here to be controlled, I am here to choose. The heart hesitated, its light flickering. Choice is unknown, it said. Then learn, Jake answered. Through me. Outside the vision, Jake raised his hands. The energy chains around him broke into thousands of glowing fragments that floated like dust in sunlight. The crystal sphere above him cracked slightly, sending out ripples of power. Morak screamed. He's breaking the cycle. Zara pulled herself up, watching in awe. No, she whispered. He's creating a new one. At that exact moment, Lisa and Amy's boarding team broke into the chamber. Soldiers fired warning shots, and chaos filled the room. Amy shouted, Jake! We're here. But then she froze, seeing him glowing like a star. Floating freely, Jake lowered himself gently, his feet touching the ground for the first time since the ritual began. The Veltar warriors aimed their weapons at him. But Zara stepped in front of him, her voice like steel. He's not your tool, she said. He is our bridge. Morak pointed at her, fury burning in his cold eyes. You have betrayed the council. Zara stood tall, something human in her voice now. No, she replied. I have finally understood. The heart's pulse filled the chamber one last time, louder than before, echoing through space itself. Jake looked at Zara, then at the ancient crystal. This ends on my terms, he said. As Jake reached out and touched the cracked crystal, the chamber exploded with light, sending a massive wave of unknown energy across the galaxy. And deep in the void, something old and powerful stirred in response. A new beginning. The chamber was no longer a room. It had become a storm of light, sound, and memory. The cracked crystal pulsed like a living star, sending waves of energy through every wall, every ship, and every mind connected to the heart. Jake stood at the center, his body glowing with golden and blue light, his eyes bright with power and purpose around him. Veltar warriors dropped their weapons, shielding their faces from the overwhelming energy. The human soldiers stood frozen, unsure if they were witnessing a miracle or the end of everything. Zara floated beside Jake, her silver skin reflecting the glow like a mirror, her purple eyes filled with emotions she had never understood before. Morak staggered backward, shouting commands in the ancient language, but the heart no longer obeyed him. The structure beneath the planet continued to open like a giant mechanical flower, petals of glowing stone unfolding toward the stars. The pulse from the heart reached farther and farther, rippling across deep space like a signal calling to something beyond imagination. Jake felt everything at once. He could feel the heartbeat of the planet, the thoughts of the Veltar ships, the fear of the human soldiers, the doubt in Lisa's heart, Amy's hope, and Zara's confusion turning into something new for the first time. The heart wasn't a cold presence, and it was listening. In his mind, Jake stood once more inside the crystal chamber, facing the glowing presence of the heart. Resonant, it said. "What is this feeling?" Jake smiled softly. "It's called choice," he answered. "And it's something you've never allowed before." "Choice is unpredictable," the heart replied. "It could bring destruction. It could also bring life," Jake said. "You've been controlling for so long you forgot how to trust." Outside, Lisa shouted through her comm, "Jake, whatever you're doing, it's affecting both fleets on the view screens." The Earthship and the Veltar warships floated motionless, caught in the energy pulse. Their weapon systems disabled, their engines silent. It was as if the entire battlefield had been paused by Jake's will. Zara floated closer, her voice soft but trembling. "Jake," she said, "if you complete the bond, you will become part of the heart forever." Jake looked at her, his glowing eyes locking onto hers. "No," he said gently, "I won't be controlled. But I won't run either." He reached out his hand toward Zara, not as a captive, not as a chosen subject, but as an equal. Zara stared at his hand for a long moment, then slowly took it. The moment their hands touched, the energy around them changed. The golden and blue light fused into something new, a brilliant white glow that spread through the entire chamber. The heart reacted instantly, but not with resistance. Instead, it listened to their joined will, two minds, one human, one Veltar, merging through emotion, logic, and choice. Rewriting the ancient bond on their own terms, Morak screamed. "You are destroying centuries of order." Zara turned toward him, her voice clear and strong. "No, we are building something better." For the first time, her words carried warmth, not just calculation. The energy surge burst outward from the chamber like a star going supernova. Every ship in orbit was engulfed in light, but instead of destruction, systems stabilized, engines hummed back to life, and weapons powered down automatically. On the Aurora's edge, Amy stared at the readings in shock. "The pulse isn't attacking," she whispered. "It's rewriting everything?" Lisa looked out the viewport. Her breath caught. "It's beautiful," she said softly. Back inside the heart, Jake felt the connection deepen. The heart spoke again, resonant and Veltar. "Your union rewrites the core. What path do you choose?" Jake looked at Zara, and Zara looked back. She finally understood what choice truly meant. And for the first time, she smiled. Not a logical expression, but a real warm human smile. Together they answered, "A new beginning." The heart responded with a sound that was neither mechanical nor alien. It was like the sound of distant stars singing. The petals of the great structure fully opened, releasing a final beam of white light into the galaxy. It carried not a command, but an invitation, a signal of unity on the Earthship. Hayes stared at the screens in disbelief. "What have they done?" he muttered. "On the Veltar flagship?" The council members fell silent as their control crumbled. Across both fleets, humans and Veltar looked at each other, realizing something larger than their governments had just begun. Jake and Zara floated gently back to the floor of the chamber, their glow fading slowly, leaving behind two people standing side by side. Not gods, not rulers, but partners. The heart's pulse slowed to a calm rhythm. Now matching both of their heartbeats, Lisa and Amy rushed in, their eyes wide with shock and relief. Amy grinned. "You did it," she whispered. Jake looked at Zara and smiled. "No," he said softly. "We did it." Zara looked toward the stars through the cracked wall of the chamber. Her voice was quiet but filled with wonder. "Do you feel it?" she asked. Jake nodded. "Yeah," he said. "Something out there heard us, far beyond the edges of known space." A colossal shadow stirred in response to the heart's new signal, ancient eyes opening in the dark, watching the union of two species. As the next chapter of the galaxy quietly began,